On Friday, the judge who was presiding over the trial of a guy who was suspected of murdering 6 people and injured scores more at a Christmas parade in 2021 said that the defendant was terrifying her while he was there. Shortly after, the judge stated that his allegations that the state had coached his witnesses had no basis in fact, Darrell Brooks Jr., 40, slammed the table with his fists and became silent while fixing Judge Jennifer Doro with an unblinking stare. But why? What's the full story? Why did the judge get scared? Well, in this video, we'll share with you the mind-blowing story of criminals that scared the judge. This gentleman and I are now engaging in a staring contest with each other. It shows an extremely low level of respect. He was making a fist of it. To tell you the truth, it gives me the creeps. On Friday, the judge Jennifer Doro asked the court for a break in the proceedings while the jury was out of the room. The prosecution has described Brooks's repeated interruptions and outbursts throughout the trial as an effort to stall, delay, disrupt, and intimidate the jury and the judge. Brooke has been self-representing himself throughout the proceedings. Brooke is accused of driving a red SUV down the parade route in Waukesha, Wisconsin late last year. He is charged with 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, 61 counts of recklessly endangering safety, 6 counts of hit and run causing death, and 2 counts of bail jumping, all felonies in connection with the parade tragedy. In addition, he is charged with 1 count of misdemeanor battery in connection to an incident with his ex-girlfriend. The judge has taken several steps recently to rein in Brooks' daily outbursts and disruptions, the most recent of which was moving Brooks to a different courtroom to participate in practically all of Friday's proceedings. After the court had taken various pauses, Doro let Brooks re-enter the main courtroom. On Friday, one of the witnesses for Brooks was his ex-girlfriend, whom he is accused of assaulting just before driving the SUV along the parade route. He cast doubt on the veracity of his witnesses and challenged their memory of what they witnessed during the procession. He said that a number of witnesses had been schooled by the office of the district attorney, which was a charge that Doro characterized as being without foundation. In the course of redirecting the witness Catrice Babias, a police enforcement dispatch supervisor who was present at the march, Brooks said at one point that it looks to me like a lot of your answers are coached. Later on in the interrogation, Brooks said to Babias, "It looks almost as if you're remembering what you want to recollect," which prompted the state to object and say that he was badgering the witness. Babias testified that she did not remember the incident. The court cautioned Brooks not to intimidate his witness or harass them in any way. Doro replied that by eye-rolling, by pursing her lips, and by making facial movements regarding her answers is badgering the witness, Brooks retorted, asking how he was intimidating Babias, and Doro stated that by eye-rolling, pursing your lips, and making facial movements regarding her answers is badgering the witness. The response from Brooks was, "You can't be serious right now. What gives you the right to judge anyone?" Brooks continued to raise his voice and assert that the court lacked integrity, even after Doro put an end to the day's line of questioning and dismissed the jury for the day. After this, he was never seen or heard from again in that room. After more than a week and a half of evidence from parade participants and spectators who witnessed the SUV barrel over people, law enforcement authorities who investigated, and the neighborhood where Brooks was caught, the prosecution decided to rest its case on Thursday. Following that, according to Brooks, he plans to bring his mother as the last witness in his defense. But can we tell you more about the history of this situation? Let's go back in time, shall we? A customary and yearly Christmas parade takes place in downtown area of Waukesha, which is a suburb of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, located to the west. In the year 2020, the COVID-19 epidemic forced organizers to call off the parade. The Comfort and Joy theme was carried throughout the 58th annual parade, which took place in 2021 and included more than 60 different floats. During the incident, the culprit was driving a maroon 2010 Ford Escape, very similar to the one seen below. The annual Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin was disrupted on November 21, 2021 at around 4:39 p.m. when a red 2010 Ford Escape SUV, traveling at approximately 40 miles per hour, burst past barriers and drove through the event. To encourage the driver of the SUV to pull over, one of the officers started banging on the vehicle's hood. After then, a different cop attempted to bring the car to a halt by firing his pistol at it. The march was being live-streamed and other participants recorded the event on recordings that were subsequently shared on social media after it had a place. Reporters were informed by 2 witnesses that the vehicle did not immediately stop, and all that they could hear during the time was people sobbing and shouting. A witness said that the driver exhibited cool and collected behavior. According to the reports of the police, the driver intentionally targeted a gathering and drove in a zigzag manner to try and strike the most number of people possible. Items left behind by those attending the parade on the intersection of Broadway and Main Street. In the immediate aftermath of the collision, it was established that 5 individuals had been killed and 48 others had been wounded. 4 ladies and 1 guy have been identified as victims of 5 deaths. 4 of the victims were members of the dancing organization known as the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies, which was made up entirely of senior citizens. 28 people were admitted to hospitals, and 9 of them were in severe conditions upon admission. A total of 17 children were injured as a result of the attack, and 3 of them were in critical condition at Children's Wisconsin until the beginning of December. After an 8-year-old kid was pronounced dead at a medical facility on November 23, 2 days after the event, the number of individuals who were reported to have been wounded climbed to 62, and the number of persons who were believed to have died increased to 6. The ages of the deceased ranged from 8 to 81 years old. The Waukesha Police Department issued a shelter-in-place order for certain areas in the city of Waukesha, but they later decided to rescind it that same evening. The Waukesha School District canceled school on November 2022 and made additional counselors available to students. On November 22, vigils were held across the city. A week after the attacks, the city of Waukesha held a moment of silence. Children's Wisconsin opened a crisis hotlines for those seeking emotional and psychological support. On December 15, First Lady Jill Biden attended a memorial service for the victims of the shooting and met in private with the members of the victims' families. On GoFundMe alone, nearly $900,000 has been raised for victims of the attack, and 7,000 donations have been made, bringing the total amount donated to the United for Waukesha Community Fund to over $1.8 million. Various donation campaigns have been organized. In addition, local contractors offered their services free of charge to install wheelchair ramps in the homes of victims of the attack who were injured and would require the use of wheelchairs. In March 2022, the United for Waukesha Community Fund announced that they had raised more than $6.2 million for the victims of the attack. Darrell Edwards Brooks Jr. was accused of ramming his car into a parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin on Saturday. Police believe that he acted alone and that he was not being chased by police when he drove into the parade route. He had been arrested 3 weeks before the attack for hitting his ex-girlfriend and ramming her with the same vehicle during a domestic dispute at a gas station in Milwaukee. Brooks was arrested on May 28, 2018 for domestic abuse in Union City, Georgia. A witness informed police that he approached Brooks after witnessing him beating up his ex-girlfriend repeatedly in a hotel room. In addition, Brooks was wanted for statutory sex offense that had been committed in Sparks, Nevada in 2016, and the warrant was still active after getting a girl who was 15 years old pregnant in 2006. Brooks was found guilty of the crime of felony statutory sexual seduction. In the wake of the assault on a parade that took place on November 21 in Waukesha, Wisconsin, Brooks was first charged with 5 counts of first-degree intentional murder. Following his first appearance in court, his bail was set at $5 million, and he was detained until his next hearing. In December, further accusations of intimidating a witness and intimidation of a victim, all of which are classified as felonies, were brought against Brooks. 77 further charges related to the incident were brought against Brooks in January 2022. These accusations included 61 counts of recklessly endangering safety with a dangerous weapon and 6 counts of hit and run involving death. Brooks entered a plea of not guilty on February 11, 2022 to all of the counts against him. Jeremy Perry, who was representing the defendant, made a motion to have the case heard by a different judge. The prosecution has decided not to pursue one of the counts of domestic violence. Brooks made his motion for self-representation and cited arguments from the sovereign citizen movement at a hearing that took place before the trial. Brooks was not permitted to claim in court that he was a sovereign citizen, as the ruling of Judge Darrow said. After deliberating on the course for a combined total of 3 hours and 15 minutes, the jury came back with guilty verdicts on the end of 76 counts. The judge handed down 6 sentences of life without the possibility of parole, 1 for each of the deceased victims, to be carried out in consecutive order. Brooks submitted an appeal, which resulted in him being placed on a protocol for suicide prevention. During this trial, the judge experienced genuine anxiety. So that concludes our video. Please share with us in the comments below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one. Until then, peace.